Airlines. Biden taps Denver Airport Chief Phil Washington to head the FAA. Washington currently heads Denver International Airport and previously led public transportation systems in Los Angeles and Denver. If confirmed, Washington's challenges will include helping the FAA improve its reputation after its approval of Boeing's 737 MAX, two of which later crashed, killing 346 people. The agency is also tasked with reviewing new Boeing planes. More recently, the FAA and airlines have pointed fingers at the causes of flight delays. An American Airlines plane lands at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport on November 23, 2021, in Arlington, Virginia. An American Airlines plane lands at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport on November 23, 2021, in Arlington, Virginia. Drew Angerer, Getty Images. President Joe Biden on Wednesday nominated Phil Washington, the head of Denver International Airport, to lead the Federal Aviation Administration. Washington's nomination to run the agency, which has roughly 45,000 employees, comes after Steve Dickson left the post about halfway through his term, at the end of March, citing personal reasons. Billy Nolan, the FAA's safety chief, was named as acting administrator. Washington has headed the Denver airport, one of the country's busiest, for about a year and previously was CEO of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority for 6 years. If confirmed, Washington will head an agency that has been working to improve its reputation after two fatal crashes of Boeing's 737 MAX planes, which led to legislation that tightened federal oversight of new jetliners. The FAA is also tasked with reviewing new Boeing jets like the 777X and the largest model of the MAX, the 737 MAX 10. It hasn't yet cleared Boeing to resume deliveries of its Dreamliner planes, which have been paused for more than a year due to manufacturing flaws. The agency has also been working with airlines to bring down the rate of flight delays and cancellations amid staffing shortages and other challenges. Tensions between the FAA and airline executives have escalated lately as they have blamed each other over an uptick in in-flight disruptions that have upended the travel plans of thousands of passengers. Airline executives have called out the staffing of air traffic controllers, which the FAA oversees, as causes of delays. The reality is that there are more flights scheduled industry-wide than the ATC staffing system can handle, United Airlines Chief Operating Officer Jonathan Reutemann wrote in a staff note Wednesday, calling out congested parts of New York and Florida. Until that is resolved, we expect the U.S. aviation system will be challenged this summer and beyond. The FAA, in response, said that its staffing is not the cause of most of the delays and cancellations, and instead attributed the issues to air traffic control capacity, airline staffing, weather, and strong traffic. United recently trimmed its schedule at Newark, New Jersey, to help avoid delays. Other carriers including Delta, JetBlue, and Southwest have also cut flights so they aren't overwhelmed when routine disruptions happen. In a statement, the FAA said it appreciates the steps airlines are taking to improve performance, but that more clearly needs to be done to reduce cancellations and delays. It is unfortunate to see United Airlines conflate weather-related air traffic control measures with ATC staffing issues, which could deceptively imply that a majority of those situations are the result of FAA staffing. Watch now. Video 15:25. An inside look at how the FAA and airlines deal with bad weather. Squawk Box. Watch live Lego. Up next, Squawk on the Street 9 a.m. ET. Yellowstone National Park is reopening more roadways after historic flooding ravaged the area. But, there are still areas visitors cannot access. North Loop. The park is reopening its North Loop from Norris Junction to Canyon Junction. This includes access to Mammoth Hot Springs and Tower Roosevelt. The opening means visitors can access the northern and southern loops of Yellowstone National Park via the east entrance in Cody, Wyoming, the west entrance in West Yellowstone, Montana, and the south entrance in Grand Teton, Jackson, Wyoming. We're pleased to reopen the north loop of Yellowstone to the visiting public less than 3 weeks after this major flood event, said Superintendent Cam Shawley. We have attempted to balance major recovery efforts while reopening as much of the park as possible. We have greatly appreciated the tremendous support of the Department of the Interior, National Park Service, Federal Highway Administration, and our congressional, community, county, and state partners. Continued closures. The north entrance in Gardner, Montana, remains closed to cars while repairs continue along that stretch of road. Visitors can, however, access the area on foot. Park officials are still determining if bicycle traffic is safe. Crews are working to repair damage to the roads connecting Yellowstone to Gardner and Cook City, Silvergate. The backcountry in the northern loop also remains closed due to hazardous conditions along the trails and bridges. Park officials say it will reopen as repairs are completed. The backcountry in the southern part of the park is now open. However, some trails and campsites are still closed due to high water. License plate system suspended. Park officials are suspending the alternating license plate system, ALPS. This system allowed visitors to access the park based on the last digit of their license plate, alternating between even and odd days. Officials say the system worked well to limit day use within the park as it reopened the southern loop. But, now that a majority of the northern loop is open, officials say they no longer need to moderate vehicular use. Park officials say they will continue to monitor capacity and its effect on the park and adjust as necessary. Flood recovery. Intense rain combined with higher than normal snow runoff caused massive flooding in Yellowstone on June 12. Mudslides, rushing high water, and rock slides damaged roads, power lines, and other critical infrastructure within the park, cutting off some areas completely. The flooding caused the park to close for the first time in decades. Since then, crews have been working to repair roads and were able to reopen the southern portion of the park less than 3 weeks after the flooding event. Park officials urge visitors to stay connected on repairs and closures via the park's official website. News and tips. Travel news. This unique solar event happens next week in Manhattan, the last time this year. Jim Fulcher. July 7, 2022. Sun setting along the length of 42nd Street in New York City known as Manhattan Henge. 42nd Street view of Manhattan Henge. Photo credit, Steve Heap /Shutterstock.com. If you live in New York City or plan to be there on July 11th and 12th, you and thousands of other people are in for a treat. On Monday, July 11th, and Tuesday, July 12th, the sunset will line up perfectly with Manhattan's streets that are oriented east to west. This means, if you have a clear view of the New Jersey horizon, you'll be able to see the sun perched on the horizon as it is framed by skyscrapers and other buildings. The spectacular event, which happens twice in May and twice again in July every year, has come to be known as Manhattan Henge in recent years. It is so famous because it is a gorgeous sunset, said Jackie Faherty, senior scientist and astrophysicist at the American Museum of Natural History, according to the New York Times. The sun kisses the grid of one of the greatest cities, if not the greatest city in the world, and touches the whole corridor of the concrete jungle with these amazing golden hues. It is a beautiful thing. Why Manhattan Henge occurs. There are two important components to Manhattan Henge, a term first coined by noted astrophysicist and director of New York's Hayden Planetarium, Neil deGrasse Tyson, with a wink and a nod to Stonehenge. First, as outlined in the Commissioner's Plan of 1811, the design for Manhattan called for a rectilinear grid, or gridiron of straight streets and avenues that intersect one another at right angles, according to Scientific American. This design runs from north of Houston Street in Lower Manhattan to just south of 155th Street in Upper Manhattan. Most cross streets in between were arranged in a regular right-angled grid that was tilted 29 degrees east of true north to roughly replicate the angle of the island of Manhattan. The second factor is that, while the sun generally sets in the west, it only precisely sets at due west twice a year on the equinox in March and again on the equinox in September. However, between the first day of spring and the first day of autumn, the position on the horizon where the sun appears to set, known as the azimuth, actually occurs somewhat north of due west. Scientific American continues. The azimuth of the sunset slowly shifts northward until the day of the June solstice. Thereafter, it reverses course and shifts back to the south. On June 21, the sun sets at an azimuth of 302 degrees, or 32 degrees north of due west. The confluence of those two factors occurs in May and again in July. As the sun is moving toward the solstice in late May, and then as the sun moves south in early July, its azimuth reaches 299 degrees, or 29 degrees north of due west, aligning perfectly with Manhattan's streets that are oriented east to west. How to see Manhattanhenge. Here's what will happen. Precisely at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Monday, July 11, what's called the full solar disk, or the full sun, will appear to be poised on the horizon. Then, at 8:21 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, July 12, the half-solar disk, or half of the sun, will be aligned perfectly with the streets on the horizon. You and crowds of people will be able to see Manhattanhenge from numerous places on the east to west streets of Manhattan. Keep in mind though that the best places to watch Manhattanhenge are wide streets with an unobstructed view of New Jersey across the Hudson River. Face west towards the sunset, New York City Department of Parks and Recreation explains. Don't forget your camera, go further east to get the best shot! Keep in mind that wide cross streets, such as 14th, 34th, 42nd, and 57th Streets, will be good spots to watch Manhattanhenge, although they will certainly attract crowds. The Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building render 34th Street and 42nd Street especially striking vistas, noted Tyson, according to the Farmer's Almanac. For more on Manhattan, be sure to check out our New York City content, including peek inside Manhattan's oldest and most haunted house. 7 key things to know before your first trip to New York City. 10 incredible free things to do in New York City. Destinations: New York City news and tips, travel news, United States. Image of Jim Fulcher. Jim Fulcher. View full profile. Jim Fulcher has been a writer and editor his entire career. In addition to writing, he also enjoys traveling, particularly in an RV. Over the course of numerous trips, Jim has driven an RV through West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota, and Wyoming. His favorite national park is Yellowstone, which he has visited 3 times. Frontier is celebrating its birthday with 75% off flights, but you must act fast. Allison Godlove. July 6, 2022. Frontier Airlines jet with an otter on the tail. Carterial/Shutterstock.com. In celebration of its 28th birthday, Frontier is giving out some pretty good party favors. The low-cost carrier is letting you save 75% on your next flight with some guardrails. With the promo code BIRTHDAY, passengers can save 75% for travel on Tuesdays and Wednesdays between August 9 and October 5, 2022. There are blackout dates between August 31 and September 3, as well as September 6-7. Round-trip purchases are required. ULL want to jump on this deal quickly. Tickets must be purchased by 11:59 p.m. EST on July 7. Costs for additional travel services like baggage and advance seat assignments still apply and are available for purchase separately. All reservations are non-refundable, except when reservations are made 7 days or more prior to departure and a refund is requested within 24 hours of the initial reservation. Fees will be added if there are changes or cancellations made after 24 hours. Celebrate with a free flight. There are also chances to win some free flights. Frontier is giving away 28 free round-trip flights worth $250. You must apply by 11:59 p.m. Mount on July 12, 2022. Lucky winners will be notified by July 20th. The contest is open to all residents of the United States except for New York and Florida. Frontier is headquartered in Denver, serving approximately 120 destinations in the U.S., Caribbean, Mexico, and Central America. It is also America's greenest airline, with its weight-saving tactics and modern, fuel-efficient fleet contributing to an average of 43% fuel savings compared to other U.S. airlines. Editor's note: for more on the airline industry, including tips straight from flight attendants and pilots, peruse our airports and flying category.